Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham with Hannah Burr.
Hello.
Hello Hannah, good evening, how are you?
I'm doing well, and how are you?
Doing good. Thanks everybody for joining and watching and listening, especially to our patrons as always. Thanks so much for the support and the love. If you're interested, go to patreon.com/insidetheforce, check out the tiers, but right now we're so grateful for them and we got a lot going on in this episode.
Yes, quite a lot to talk about.
How was your May the 4th? Hannah, how was yours? Because you were at Disney, right?
Dang, that did happen recently, didn't it?
Well, we recorded, I think, like the day before.
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
Yes.
It was great. We went to Magic Kingdom, and then with my sister, and then my sister and I went to Hollywood Studios to go to the famous Bat 2.
Yes.
The amount of cosplayers and people dressed up like Jedi, it was very crowded. I will say it was very crowded. But we were able to do Smuggler's Run, Chewy
Yes.
style, which is
Yes.
amazing. It's when instead of Hondo is talking to you, it's Chewy.
Yes.
So much fun. And both my sister and I were actually the pilots.
Oh, nice.
We got the highest score we ever got, so that was awesome. And then of course we had a Ronto wrap. You have to have a Ronto wrap when you're in Batu. And then we left because it was really getting crowded, and we were like, okay, we're done. Like we can just go at this point.
Yeah.
So that was my May the 4th. It was in the most magical place on Earth.
Yes.
And we specifically went to Batu.
Yes.
How was your May the
4th? I guess I think I mentioned it whenever last episode we were woke up and was going to watch Tales of the Underworld, but couldn't get to it right away. Had some other things to do, and then we had a movie time scheduled for Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
So we went and watched Thunderbolts, which is actually a really good movie. I liked
Was it really? I heard mixed reviews.
Oh, it's pretty high. It's highly rated. One of the highly rated ones, as far as like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. It's actually pretty high. But you know, it's a fun ensemble movie. And got home and immediately, you know, I think I mentioned it on again last week, but Disney Plus has the live stream, you know, which I found out talking to Martin that it's not available in Canada. So he doesn't have the live stream capabilities.
No.
So the live stream playlist might only be in the US, but they have the Star Wars one going right now. It's still going actually. I was just upstairs and it's still on Attack of the Clones is on again. Because they're running through all the series, live action animated, and then the movies in chronological order. So, because Acolyte just was on again today.
Oh, wow.
And now it went through episode 1, now episode 2, and it's going to do episode 3.
Wow.
Actually, I don't think it's doing the animated series because it's not going to do Clone Wars. But anyway, had that just kind of background and you know, watched that and just kind of worked on some stuff for the show and again just watched some Star Wars and stuff like that. So it's pretty low key. May the 4th. Star Wars put out a great video. I don't know if you saw it, but they put out a great video for May the 4th. Kind of gets you right in the center of your chest. You know, so yeah, it was fun. It was fun just to watch Star Wars, and then finally that evening we watched Tales of the Underworld, which we'll talk about here in a second. But me and my daughter Sam watched it, and yeah, but I've had this live stream going. It's still going. Like just every time I turn on the TV and just want it in the background, it's just. And I hope they keep it like that because I love this live stream Star Wars all the time. I think it's great.
It's like, what is that one channel that always plays the day after tomorrow? Like, that's all I want, is I just want a channel that just constantly plays Star Wars.
I know.
Just go through it.
Yeah, hopefully that's it. So yeah, we'll talk about Tales of the Underworld, and then we'll obviously go into maybe the best 3 episodes of Star Wars, hands down, with Andor, episodes 7 through 9. Of course, the series finale is in a couple nights. Tuesday night, the last 3 episodes will air, and that will be it for Andor. But real quick, some comments from our last week's show. Kamar Jade says, it isn't necessarily that using a trope is bad. I think it's more down to if it's used well. Tropes aren't very good when it's used too much like a crutch over narrative enhancement. I agree, though. I think the scene with Cinta could have been edited, directed better. It's realistic. The one guy's actions, choosing to ignore the rules they laid out, resulted in an outcome it did. However, the way it was presented came across to me as shot fired. Oh, I bet they hit someone off screen. Eventual reveal of Cinta was apparently shot. Well, that's not good. I liked Cinta's character, and I feel kind of like they did her dirty here, other than the great reaction from Vel later. I agree.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. And then she says, I really don't like Saul either. I don't think I ever really have. His character is necessary as a foil for the rebellion, but to me, it feels like he gets written in a way that's just a bit too inspiring still, when really it's straight despicable. He also just exemplifies traits in people that I really dislike, so that doesn't help either.
I do want to make a comment on that. I completely agree with you, but I think it's purposeful that they write him as inspiring. It's supposed to be the inspiring where it makes you feel icky. Because if we look at history, there are a bunch of people who rose to power because they were technically inspiring. You can be inspiring but still be a bad person. So I completely agree with you. I think that's how they wrote him. And when you first read or hear or see Saul, you're like, oh, whoa, what a great leader. But then the more and more you learn about him and his tactics, you're like, whoa, wait. Okay. And I think the way that they did it really encourages it. It's giving the viewer 2 + 2 instead of 4. It's letting the viewer kind of put those pieces together. So I agree with you. He is portrayed as an inspiring leader, and unfortunately, he is. That's who he is. But us as a viewer can then take a look at that, look at what he does, and go, nah, no.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm and it's good that we talk about him now, really, because he's not pretty much in these 3 episodes at all.
Right.
Actually, in fact, he's not in them at all, I don't think.
No,
right?
he's not.
Yeah,
I don't think he is.
So I don't find, I've actually never found Saul inspiring, and I don't feel like. I feel like he inspires the people, the partisan people that are with him, in a way, right? I think they only do because they've followed him for so long. Like I think there's more loyalty than inspiration.
Right, there's a comfortableness about it. But the thing is, if you inspire other people, then by definition you are technically inspiring. It doesn't mean that you personally find him inspiring. Does that make sense?
But I mean, even in Star Wars world, he's not like getting a lot of people behind him. Like
that's true.
He really kind of has his own group,
right? And
it's not like the galaxy is inspired by his actions and coming up around him like they are the rebellion.
Yeah, and I do agree that he is the perfect foil when it comes to the rebellion.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's why Saul is there, is for us as a viewer and audience. I think it's for us to see that there's a contrast in the rebellion, right? Like this is the wrong way to do it, and this is the right way to do it.
I was just about to say, it's like this is the domestic terrorist way to do it.
Exactly.
And then this is an actual rebellion.
Correct. I think it's for those that think, oh, well, Mothma and Luke and all these guys are just terrorists. Well, actually, no.
No.
This is what terrorism looks like, is what Saul's doing. So, yeah, so I kind of think that was maybe the premise. Now, but, think about it, too. He was first introduced in the Clone Wars.
Right.
And he was fighting for his world, like.
And I think that's what makes us like him so much is when we first meet him, we're like, oh, look at this guy. He's fighting for
That's
his
right.
rights. He's doing this the right way. And then we see him in later, like I remember I actually cheered when I saw him in Jedi Fallen Order. Because I was like, oh,
Yes.
heck yeah, it's
Yeah, exactly.
Saw.
Yeah.
But then I read Leia's book. And then
Rebel Rising, right?
Yeah, I see read Rebel Rising. I then see him in action in Andor, and it's like, oh, woof.
Yeah, right.
And then Reign of the Empire.
Which I'm about 45 minutes left.
Okay,
So
you'll get to that point. You'll get to the point where it makes me go, oh, I did not see that one coming. That's all I'm going to say. But I love that. I love that we first see this character and we like him. We like what he's doing. We're behind him. But then the more and more we see him in action, the more and more we see what he's doing, and the more and more he basically descends into this world of violence.
Right.
You're like, oh, no. Hold, time out.
Yep. That's right. So I agree with you, Kamara. I think he's...
Yes.
It's hard to like him anymore. I thought, like you said, I thought he was a decent character at the beginning. I liked, obviously, the idea of like an animated character becoming a live action character.
Loved it. And Forrest Whitaker is...
Yeah, absolutely.
So good.
But in the end, he hasn't become a really inspiring Star Wars character, I guess. Let's see. Thrawn says, enjoy Tales of the Underworld, but probably my least favorite so far of the Tales of shows.
Oh.
But not complaining, as I see these as nice surprises for May the 4th. Definitely preferred Ventress episodes to Cad Bane's. Won't give any spoilers, but excited to see what you think. And then he says, hard to write comments explaining all my thoughts about the latest Andor episodes because so much happened, but I absolutely loved every episode and cannot wait for the next week's episodes. These episodes were so well written and clever throughout, and I know some people are saying some parts are slow, but personally, I love a slow build with the Rebels and Empire planning because it makes episode 6 so intense when things unfold. Andor being a fashion designer was great and love seeing him take on a more of a Luthen role as time goes on. Deidre and Cyril's plan with the Empire to trick the Rebels was great because it makes me feel like more of a threat, whereas in shows, movies, they made to act as a bit stupid and easily trick themselves. Again, any Mothma Senate scenes are so great, and her walking out of the Senate not wanting to recite that Empire's oath was so powerful. I could see the sin to death coming because unfortunately it is that old trope of lovers being reunited after so long, showing hope just to have one of them die. Was surprised the way Cinta died, though, but was quite realistic it happened the way it did because not everyone in the war would have a heroic death and can imagine a lot of times things just go wrong. Lastly, that scene with Krennic and them trying to get listening device had me on the edge of my seat the whole time and love scenes like that. I could go on, but I'll be here forever and need to watch Rogue One to celebrate May the 4th. Can't wait for your reactions of episodes 7 through 9. Thanks again. May the Force be with you. Oh, buddy. Yeah, 7 through 9.
Oh, boy.
But first, thanks, guys, for those. Let's talk about Tales.
Okay.
So, first up, thoughts. Was it your least favorite? Where are you with these two arcs?
It's not my least favorite because I have to consider both stories. And while Tales of the Empire, one story was weaker than the other, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That contrast, like, if I were to go, okay, which of the tales of, would I rewatch in a heartbeat. The first one is Ahsoka and Dooku, Tales of the Jedi.
Totally.
Hands down, that one. Next
Absolutely.
one will be Tales of the Underworld.
Same.
Unfortunately, Tales of the Empire, I would skip over. I don't even remember her name.
Morgans.
I would skip over Morgan's episodes. I would just skip over them.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why that one's lower. Yeah, I loved it. It had no right to be that emotional. Um, I'm glad they explained how Ventress was still alive.
Yes.
I'm so glad we got that
Were you
explanation.
surprised by that they did that, or were you at all surprised at
No,
how?
it was a happy surprise, but at the same time, and I know we've talked about this before, I feel like it cheapened her death. And like the more and more people are like, surprise, I'm still alive. I'm like, we're cheapening somebody's death
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
what that really means and how that truly impacts the world around them. So
Right.
to me, that felt a little corny personally. The fact that she gets a choice, like, I don't know. To me, I didn't like it.
Okay.
But everything after that, I loved.
So wait, you didn't like the way that she came back, or you didn't like the fact that she actually died and came back?
I don't like the fact she died and came back, and I am sort of I'm undecided on how they brought her back because I think part of me is just very biased in the fact of there are too many times in the series where somebody's death is not okay. I'll say this. So we all assumed whenever we watched A New Hope and nothing was spoiled for us that Luke's father died. We all assumed that Darth Vader killed his father. And then when we get to the point where it's like, no, Darth Vader is his father, Darth Vader is Anakin, that death of Anakin has significance because it's that huge twist. As soon as we hit that point, that's when I feel like Star Wars established that death has a meaning
Mm-hmm.
and death is crucial. But ever since then, there have been people who should have remained dead that have somehow come back to life,
Like Palpatine.
like Palpatine. And it cheapens the because I feel
What
like
about Maul?
or Maul even. Although Maul you could sort of argue a little bit more than Palpatine. Palpatine, you're really kind of shoehorning that sucker
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maul, you could argue because there are people who don't have their
Yeah.
lower extremities and they survive.
Survive.
So
Correct.
that one you could explain, but Palpatine specific, like the more and more you do that, the more and more you like. It's starting to get to a point where if somebody dies in Star Wars, the question is, oh, are they really dead?
Agreed. Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
what it's starting to get to, and I
Especially
don't.
especially with this force healing stuff now.
We'll get to that.
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
But especially with that, it's like, okay, well, are they really dead? Like, I'm waiting for like a short coming out where Padme actually survived. You know what I mean? Like, it's getting to that point where
They
death.
almost did that too.
I know they did. Don't lie. I'm not even going to go on that track. But it's getting to the point where death doesn't have value. And while I love Asajj Ventress, I love her character. I loved what she did in Bad Batch. I loved these episodes. Part of me, and maybe it's just the bias part of me, feels like her coming back to life took away the value of her death.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's where I stand on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But outside of that,
Mm-hmm.
I really love the episodes. I love the kid. I love her line of "You smell like a Jedi."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh my gosh. And her wanting a quiet life, but it makes me really wonder the title Tales of the Underworld because I don't think Ventress was really part of the
She
underworld.
agreed.
So that part really confused me. But I think the parallel between Ventress and Cad Bane or Colby as
Yeah.
we realize is his real name. Both of them want something. She chooses to let it go. He chooses to go after it. Her
Right.
choosing to let go of Quinlan is absolutely insane to me.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's a choice.
Mm,
That was the stipulation of her return to life.
oh, that's true. She's like,
Remember, she's like, you basically you can't have a heart for this guy.
oh,
Basically,
yeah, I know. But she still could have, because she's like, oh, I want to go back to Quinlan. But then at the end, she realizes, no, I have to let him go.
yeah,
For
yeah,
Cad Bane, it's, it's, I want to have revenge.
hmm
I want to have revenge on this guy. And little does he know that that ends up ending his life as he knows it because of his son.
yep.
I mean, I'm sorry, Tales of did not need to get this emotional. They did not have to go there, and yet they did.
hmm
Um.
hmm
So anyway, that's my thoughts. It doesn't. I mean, like, it's kind of cool to see how Cad Bane became who he was. Colby to Cad Bane. I kind of knew when I saw him and his best friend Nero. I was like, oh, Nero's gonna die. It's gonna end up being him versus Nero. That's just like what it's gonna
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
But um, I also love how they brought back the whole fact that Jedi could basically talk to anyone in the galaxy because of the Force. That's something that tends to be overlooked.
right. Yeah.
Anyway, what did you think? I've been rambling on a lot. What did you think?
Well, I agree. I liked it better than Empire, even though I'm with you. I like the Barris storyline. Was fine. I mean, like not great, but it was fine. It was, it did answer. It's funny because I think all three of these, it's within some of them, we get an answer to questions that we've had with Jedi. It was, what happened to Yaddle? Like all of a sudden
Yeah,
she's gone. Well,
that's
there's your
true.
explanation. In Empire was what happened to Barris. No one knew. Here you go. Here's an answer. And then this one, it's like, how is Ventress alive? And then we got our answer, right? Because I don't think there was, look, I think the Ahsoka series was good, even though I don't think there was any questions really about her.
Hmm.
It was just so good to see her, how she got into the rebellion, whatever. Morgan, like you said, I don't think there was any questions. I didn't have her background questions. It didn't really matter to me because she wasn't the focus really in the whole,
Right.
Ahsoka series and Mando series and stuff. So, and in this one too, it's like I don't know anybody really asking for the Cad Bane backstory, but here it is. I mean, it's fine, but it wasn't something I was like really eager to find out, and because I had kind of, I mean, you just kind of chalk it up to, I could have kind of thought of this in my head, like this is obviously how he got started, right? So,
Right.
but so in that sense, it was good. The Ventress thing, I was obviously the most interested in, and I'm with you. I do feel like both stories had very emotional pieces to it, and I found myself liking more of the Cad Bane one, seeing like his younger self. Like I actually thought that it was pretty interesting going that far back
Yeah.
and building that relationship with his friend, and how kind of the typical story, the friend gets caught and imprisoned and the other guy gets away, and you come back later. In fact, I was just watching the other day Creed 3. I don't know if you've ever seen the Creed
Yeah.
movies,
I've seen Creed, but
but in
not.
Creed 3 it's the same thing. There's a crime and his buddy gets caught, goes to prison, and he gets away, and later on he comes back and they box each other. But it's like it's kind of the same thing here. But what I did find interesting was that, and I have read a lot of comments about this, the fact that Cad basically took over the personality of the guy that trained him.
Oh yeah.
Like he isn't like, he didn't really kind of create this himself, in a sense, which I don't know if I don't have a problem with that really.
No.
I mean, he's. It kind of makes sense if you're following a guy that kind of raised you in a sense, right?
Right.
But I thought there was just a crazy ending to that, and I thought it was very emotional, and
Oh,
yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
that was tough. But also, Nero, you don't marry your best friend's girlfriend.
True.
I'm sorry. You kind of brought that one on yourself.
You
I'm not
definitely
gonna
did.
lie. That
You
was the
definitely did.
really, and if he's like, well, he doesn't know the whole story, he saved her life. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
There's a bro code. There is a bro code. You do not do that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with
Oh,
that.
and then above all things, you accept his child as your, like, you can accept his child as your own, but the fact that the child thinks that you're his dad, like,
Yes,
no.
I
Oh,
know.
like, that is all sorts of, if you disagree with me, get in the comments and tell me why. I think that is not okay.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. That
Oh,
was
that was so wrong. I'm sorry. As soon as I found that, I'm like, oh, dude, you had this coming for you. Like,
I know.
you were asking for it.
When I was sitting there watching it with Sam, my daughter, and I leaned over while it was happening. But before I even got there, I said, "He's with Cad Bane's girl, and that's his son." Like
Yeah. As
it's
soon
like,
as I saw the kid, I'm like, is that Cad? Is that
yes,
Cad? And then when he was like, Isaac, Daddy, I was like, oh no, oh no, no,
exactly.
no, 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 no.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, that was interesting. So yeah, with Asajj, I think I kind of I'm with you. I think the book, the Dark Disciple book, is just it's flawless almost in my opinion. Like it's so good,
Yeah,
and I mean it was really good because she died.
that was
You,
huge.
you know,
Like,
like she sacrificed herself to bring Quinlan back, and I'm telling you, like that scene of them putting her in, like that is awesome. That was awesome.
that was great. I am so glad we saw that. And the fact that
Yes.
Obi-Wan was there, I was like, yes.
Because listening to it, in audiobook form, it's like that's what you envisioned. You envisioned that emotion of Quinlan putting her in the water, and yeah, I mean, I know when she showed up in Bad Batch, there was a lot of people like, well, maybe did she really die at the end? And I mean, I went back and
Nope.
listened, and I'm like, no, she died. Like she is not breathing. She's wrapped
Dead,
up
dead.
and she's underwater. I mean, it's like
You don't
she's
get
dead.
better than that.
Yeah. So I'm glad though. Look, I can accept how she got back. I mean, she is a witch. I mean, she's part of the witches of Dathomir, right? So I think Mother Talzin kind of did the same thing. She kind of came back, after dying. It's like there is a way. Obviously, like what's his name? They used kind of the witcheries to bring Savage back too. It's like
That's true.
so it's like it's fine. It's not something they like had to bend a lot of rules to do. It's just like you said. It's unfortunate because of the story we had with her was so perfect.
Yeah.
But it's like one of them things where I think Maul has grown into this incredibly complex and extraordinary character after bringing him back. Hopefully they do her justice and do the same thing. Now, if we don't get anything else beyond this, I'm going to be a little frustrated. I ain't gonna lie.
No, I completely agree because as you said, at least with Maul, we're now like, okay, we realize why he was brought back.
Correct.
Like, we actually understand it.
And we're even getting more stories.
Exactly. With her, I hope we get more. If we don't, I'm going to be like, then why did we bring her back?
The only reason now, in my opinion, that you can bring her back, you better get to the point. I don't care how long it takes that her and Quinlan get together.
I was hoping that the end of the episode was her and Quinlan just locking eyes.
I know.
That's all I need.
I think
that is all I need.
I think it's coming at some point. It has to.
Better.
There's no other reason you would bring her back.
I don't need to know what happens to them. I don't need to know if they get together. I just need Quinlan to know and see that she is alive. That is all I need. And then boom, done, satisfied.
Yes. Yeah. No, I got to see it. I got to see the story play out. I think it would be extraordinary because again, we know because 10 years from this, I think this is roughly like maybe 6 or 7 years because it's like 2 or 3 years after episode 3. But we know Quinlan, 10 years later during Obi-Wan is alive.
Yes.
So you better get there at some point. Maybe this is like a season 2 of Obi-Wan where Quinlan Ventress comes in live action.
Oh then my God. Get the same voice actress. She would be perfect to play.
Yes, right?
She would be perfect. Oh, I mean, and I also really like, oh my gosh, I'm blanking out on everyone's names, but I really like the Jedi that was with her.
I did too. I
liked him. He was annoying, but I feel like any kid who doesn't know how to blend in is going to sound that annoying. And the fact that they're going to be together, I wonder if she's going to train him to be more street smart.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think so. I think train him to be hidden, But again, that right there, the fact that you kept them together, like you're opening the door for more stories. So I hope, because you could have easily closed it by like her going on her own, and then you just don't know we just don't know what happens to her later. But like that was important to keep them together because I think that was telling us that there's more stories coming from Ventress. So. We'll see because she's great. I mean, I think she's Dark Disciple like created this incredibly just powerful character with just incredible emotion because I mean, there's not many characters that have went both dark side, light side, and is still around.
Right.
And just experienced all this stuff that she's experienced in her life, but still is trying to be good. It's pretty extraordinary.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah, she's good. Okay, so that's our thoughts. I know Thrawn wasn't so happy with Tales of the Underworld, but I was pretty satisfied. I liked it a lot.
I liked it too.
It just all of these, in a sense, I mean, Empire at the least, but all these have like been to that point where they're kind of too short. Like I want a little bit more.
It's like writing Tron. You just want a little bit more.
Yes, just a couple more episodes. That's it. That's all. Okay, but that was great. Okay, let's. There's no other news out there, so let's get into the meat of this thing, which is episode 7, 8, 9 of Andor. 7 entitled Messenger, 8 entitled Who Are We? Who Are You? And then 9, of course, being the infamous Welcome to the Rebellion. So lots of topics here. Let's do overall impressions. Let me go first on this one.
Yeah, go first.
And I will say, so I watched all 3 right away, and then I've watched 7 and 8. I have not rewatched 9 yet, which I was hoping to do later tonight. Even after the first viewing, I got off watching that and looked at my daughter and said, to me, by far, I've seen a lot, not just Star Wars, but I've seen a lot of TV. And I mean, these episodes were some of the best I've ever seen, in my opinion. I know that's a bold statement because there's a lot of great shows out there. can you believe, Hannah? I saw some article that said episode 8, which is obviously the big one with the massacre. I saw an article that said rating wise, like I think it means by like all the rating scales out there, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, blah blah, people, all this stuff. That episode 8 is like in the top 6 all time episodes.
That does not surprise me at all.
Oh, interesting. And it kind of said like included in that there was like an episode from Breaking Bad. There's an episode from Game of Thrones in there.
Episode from Last of Us?
I don't know. I didn't see the total list, but
okay.
I need to look that up. But anyway, there was we'll talk about a few of these things, but overall, it's like incredible acting, incredible production design, and just the fact that you had all these people there and this event happening, just kind of like here's the thing. What I felt like, which is I think the reason why they kind of introduced these like the hovering cameras in the news like you were watching this as like the galaxy was watching this. And even though you kind of saw the behind the scenes stuff of like how it started and things like that, but man, I mean, you had this first person account, because a lot of the shots, if you really watch it again, there weren't a lot of wide shots. There were very intimate, close shots of these people getting killed. And I mean, you felt it, the acting of these people. Like there's that one shot of that guy that, was sitting back, like he was, sitting with his back against the wall, and he was just screaming because these guys were so good. Cyril was so good. Andor was so good. Obviously, Mothma,
Deidre.
I mean, they were incredible in these episodes, and it's surprising because we didn't get Saul. Mm-hmm. We didn't have Luthen. It's like
no, Luthen was there.
Well, he was in a little bit. He wasn't a Ghorman though.
Yeah, no, he was not a Ghorman.
Yeah, and like that whole episode, and then the rebellion episode, he was there, obviously helping Mothma, but it's like he was kind of on the side. It was like Deidre, Cyril, and Andor, and then Mothma, at the last episode. But anyway, overall impression was this was what all of these episodes, even the first season, was building towards.
Oh yes.
And looking back, it's like, wow, they did an incredible job getting us to this point, because this is the climax of everything. I mean, we got 3 more episodes, but like it's kind of just like a lead in to Rogue One.
It's the falling action and the resolution. Like that's what it is.
Yeah. So I loved them, and I got a few points that we'll talk about, but I loved them. What'd you think?
Masterpiece, beautiful, prolific, awe-inspiring. If you asked me before I watched these, what do I think in modern day is a perfect episode of television? Modern day, so like within the last handful of years or so, I would say Last of Us episode 3.
Episode 3. Okay, remind me which one was that?
That stars the the guy from Parks and Recreation.
Oh, okay. Where they find him at his house? Yeah. Okay.
Well, they don't find that's the next step, but it's his backstory.
The backstory one. Okay.
The backstory.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, that severely deviates from the game.
Right.
But okay, whatever. I would have said that was one of the most perfect episodes of television in modern history. I now may have to change my answer due to episode 8. Because that anxiety built, because you and I are in this business. We know the tall tale signs. Mm-hmm, from the get-go. I was like, this is a trap.
Oh yeah.
This is going to be a massacre. And I think any viewer could see that from a mile away. And so that anticipation and that anxiety building of, oh my gosh. And then the way that they filmed it and the way that the Empire set it up, hate to say it, the way the Empire set it up was brilliant.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it was like they know what they're doing.
They do.
And then like it just, that whole thing was just absolute, like I think I was weeping by the end because it was just so heartbreaking and
Yes.
it felt so real.
Absolutely.
Like for a second I forgot I was watching Star Wars. It felt so real. It's also kind of cool that that's how we got K2's origin story.
Yes.
Just saying. Kind of cool.
Kind of cool.
But the acting, the music, the scenery, the art direction, it's just fantastic. I mean, like, who that for me, I'm like, I'm fired up now. Like, what's gonna happen next? My only complaint of this trio,
Okay.
is that we didn't get dear old Jimmy, because I would have loved for Jimmy as Organa to have said those lines. Now, to be fair, current actor, I know he's a professional. He's clearly studied Jimmy and Organa's mannerisms. I think he did a great job. It's just unfortunate that I want to see Jimmy.
Same.
Like that's just I hope he's not getting a lot of slack though, because I do think he's doing a great job despite that fact.
Yeah, I think so.
And then also Mon Mothma's speech. So I was listening to headphones and Zach was doing his own thing. I was doing my own thing and I was like, yeah! And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's our speech!
Yes, that's right.
Head to the yes!
Yes.
So anyway, and I think that has to go down up there with Andy Serkis's speech.
Yes. Luthans.
And Luthen. Oh my gosh, if we actually think about it, all the major speeches we love from Star Wars all came from the Andor series.
I know, right?
Interesting.
The monologues, man, are incredible that they give these characters.
Even Andor's mom.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway.
Well, I saw an interview with a real quick interview with Genevieve, and she had mentioned that Tony Gilroy, who wrote it, I think they were talking about whether or not, like, if she needed a prompter or she needed like help, and she says, "No, I'm gonna memorize this. This is the thing. This is what Mothma is known for. I'm gonna be as real as I can with this, and perfect."
This is her turning point. This is her, and I like, she also did it so beautifully where she did that, and then afterwards, even though she knew the consequences, even though she knew what was coming next, she was still terrified because she's like, I've never been part of Rebel. What am I doing? What am I doing? And I think she did that so beautifully.
Agreed. Yep, agreed. Okay, so let's kind of rewind from the beginning, because I want to say, obviously these things are jumping year to year. It's been another year of this massive buildup on what's happening on Ghorman, where we understand that Cyril's been, kind of unknowingly playing both sides. Unknowingly meaning that he thought he was doing it for a certain reason, whereas there was a real reason behind what he was doing, which is setting up this whole thing. And I do look, I was questionable of like how serious and how relevant his character was in the first season.
Okay.
But man, he has turned out to be an incredible character.
I honestly believe, and I know we're winding back to the beginning, but I do want to say this. I honestly believe that if he did not lay eyes on Cassian in episode 8, he would have 100% flipped to the rebellion.
Well, I think that's what he was kind of doing at the end, right?
At the end, right before he got shot, he totally was about to be like, because he was lowering his weapon, like, I can't do this.
Well, I think not only that, I think he understood
Yeah,
what Andor now, why he was doing what he was doing.
he's like, "Yep, I'll join you." Boom, done.
I
Like
know,
that's
right?
just
And I said this in my reaction video that I put for Patreon. I said, I would have liked to at least hear like one or two lines from him before that happened. Like, that's fine. You want to kill him. But I was wanting him to say what was on his mind there. You know what I mean? Like, I
really.
think that
'Cause
would have been,
I think it was enough for him to be like,
well, I think I think that would even be even more tragic to say, not even like, I want to join you or anything, nothing
right.
like that, but almost like, almost like, let me help you get out of here, or let me, something.
Or even I was wrong,
Or
or
yeah,
now
maybe
I
like,
understand.
I understand. Like, that would have been cool. I think that would have been something that would have been even like, oh my God, what?
Yeah.
But no, let's
Back to the beginning.
episode
Sorry,
7. No, real quick, episode 7. We get obviously it's a year later, so we're already on Yavin.
yes.
So
Nuts. Okay.
yeah, I was a little surprised that we got that introduction of Yavin when he left there after being captured, and then now we're there, and it looks like they've been established for a long time there
Right.
now.
I'm very surprised that they were able to be established in a location for that long without the Empire finding them.
Agreed. I was thinking the same thing.
What we see in the original series, and maybe they learned from their mistakes here, but the Empire was constantly finding, like, they purposely had things set up for quick and easy evacuations as soon as they caught wind that the Empire knew where they were.
Right.
So that was very surprising to me. I was like, they had, and maybe that's because that's when the Empire realized, oh, we actually have to pay more attention to this.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
so maybe Yavin was like the Empire's first mistake or
Maybe
learning lesson.
So Yavin looked great. Obviously, him and Bix have been together. I thought that was good to see. I do want to talk to you about, because I really thought I want to get your thoughts on the Force healer scene.
Right. Okay.
What'd you think about that?
So I have seen comments on Facebook saying, like, where were the Force healers when Padme died? Why are we now getting Force healers now? I truly believe, because, and I hate to say, if you read the books, but if you read the books in Brotherhood, Anakin takes on a youngling. Like, he doesn't purposely take her on, but just kind of happens.
Right.
And she absolutely hates fighting. She hates it. She does not want to do it, but she finds that she's very good at healing. And she's very good at feeling people's emotions and calming those emotions. And I think Anakin even makes a comment of, as a Jedi, you don't necessarily have to be a fighter. You could go down the path of healing. So it's already been established before this episode that there are Jedi healers.
Yeah. That
has been established. So they exist. So the reason why I don't think there were healers when Padme was dying is because, they're probably all terrified and running for their lives, and they're not aware of the whole Padme situation because that was kept way under wraps.
True.
And that's probably why we haven't seen them. So my personal opinion is that this Force healer, first off, she's older. With Force healing abilities, as we read in Rise of Skywalker and as we see in the movie, there is a cost, right? There is a cost to healing. You have to give some of your own energy force. Right. At the end, we see that it's Ben giving up his entire life force to bring Rey back to life.
Right.
That's what it is. She's older. So there are certain things she cannot heal all the way because otherwise she would die. And I'm sorry, but I don't think a person's life is worth healing a broken leg. My own personal opinion, take that as you may. But I truly believe that this woman was a Jedi.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
believe, and the reason why is because when she said, um, she hadn't felt a spirit. I wrote notes because she hadn't felt a spirit like this before when she touched Andor. I think that Cassian has the spirit of a Jedi who is full of hope. And she got so emotional because she did not feel that Jedi spirit for a while because everybody else she knew that was a Jedi was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like, I'm all for it. I think it's established in the Jedi universe. Um, that's why Padme died,
Yeah.
and I think the reason why we haven't seen it before is that we've been stuck with our councils and politics. We haven't seen the hospital wing of the Jedi Temple when it's clearly established that healers are there. So that's my own personal opinion. I think she was a Jedi master, and she just is choosing to
Mm-hmm.
use her skills in a way, like, so that's my general thought. I'm okay with it. I think there are a lot of things that have been established in lore to help validify a healer
Right.
who's technically a Jedi Force healer. I don't know if any of that made any sense. I don't know if that answered your question, but
No, just overall thoughts about it. I think that was well done. I think I agree with most of what you said. I'm leaning towards her being. I don't think she was a full Jedi. I think she was one of those ones that it's we haven't fully been introduced to them in canon necessarily, but we've heard about some of them. Ventress being one of them. Somebody that's trained but then doesn't make it into becoming a Padawan or becoming and what they do is they shift those people into other roles, like possibly a Force healer. Some go work in the archives. Some go work in security. Some become temple guards, but they're not full-fledged Jedis. So there's other roles for Force-sensitive people
yeah.
that don't become Padawans, right?
Well,
I think she may fall into that category.
that's interesting because in Rise of the Red Blade, when Iskat was made into a Jedi Knight, like she
Right.
graduated, they were like, "Oh, we thought you were going to join us in the archives." So it's interesting that it's not only just people who do actually complete the trials; it's those who are just Force sensitive and don't or
That's
can't.
right. Because the council still decides who becomes Padawans and who become knights and who become masters. So because there's obviously a bigger devotion to that kind of life, and
And unfortunately, during Attack of the Clones, they had no choice. All Padawans became Jedi Knights. Like,
exactly,
they had no
exactly,
choice.
exactly. So I think that's why part of me is like with her, she's not necessarily in hiding. She has this Force ability, which the part, and I could be wrong, but I kind of remember, was she saying something like, or was Bix saying something like that it doesn't always work, or that does it always work? I feel like it was like
It's
she
something like
tries, but it
that.
doesn't always work. Where
Or
like
maybe,
maybe not everything can be healed. I don't know.
yeah, I think it's something like that.
Yeah. I when she was touched, kind of. I felt also she has the foresight ability.
Oh, she absolutely does. I'm pretty sure she saw Cassian sacrificing himself to save the
Agreed.
rebellion.
Which again, you've kind of heard that some Jedi have healing. Not every Jedi or every Force sensitive has the same power.
Right. Or not all of them have one that's favored or one that's more
Correct.
natural for them over
Yes.
the others.
Yes. Because again, I think I saw some comments like kind of like what you said, like why couldn't Obi-Wan save Padme? It's like, well, he doesn't have Force healing ability.
No,
So
in fact, what is it in Master and Apprentice? Was it Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon that had a natural ability? I think it was Obi-Wan who had a natural ability with animals, or was it Qui-Gon who had a natural ability with animals?
I think it's Qui-Gon.
Yeah, Qui-Gon had a natural ability with animals, and it was something Obi-Wan
I think it was
was
Qui-Gon.
jealous of.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan had a natural ability. Shoot, I forget what it is, but I feel like in the book they actually like highlighted what his natural ability in the Force was.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember
I
it.
can't remember either. And the Jedi that we know about that has kind of the biggest ability of premonition is Sifo Dyas
Yes.
for
Oh,
seeing
yes.
obviously the war, right? So so I thought it was a very interesting scene, and I felt drawn into it, and I felt the woman that played it was fantastic,
Amazing.
amazing. And I think obviously the intent of that scene obviously was to put Bix into a choice, right?
Yeah.
Which she made a difficult choice later, obviously to leave. Anyways, I thought that was well done. I thought the whole part was well done. Obviously it worked on him. He was healed. And Andor is obviously, I think that kind of reassured that he is intended to play a bigger role in this whole thing, right? So,
Yes.
all right. So let's talk a little bit about the massacre itself.
Woof.
I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about it already, offhandedly, but I think, like you said, I think this is one of the things where, again, the Empire, we've known it from the very beginning, since 1977, that the Empire is evil. And I will be honest, like, there's obviously, you have a Death Star, you destroy Alderaan in that movie. You have, all these kind of stories about the Empire, mining worlds for resources and kind of destroying lifestyles and stuff like that. But then, but to be honest, you still see things like in these episodes, even in these episodes, when you're on Coruscant, like, Coruscant is still a lively planet, and like there's not like, it's just like a martial law there. You don't like see a bunch of stormtroopers like walking around. I mean, people just living their lives. So it's like partially, there's a split of people in the galaxy that don't see the Empire as really a thing besides just a big military buildup. But then you have people that are on Ghorman and on Mimbam and Kashyyyk, with the Wookiees. Like, obviously they're getting destroyed. Their lifestyles are being destroyed by the Empire. So they're evil for sure. But but not everybody's seeing this. This is how everybody is seeing this, and I thought it was just completely well done on the fact, like you said, the way the Empire was trying to manipulate it. That's the only way you can do it to illustrate how truly evil the Empire is.
To make it even better, they got their hands on the media. Because the
Right.
media were like, this is supposed to be a peaceful rally, and then you look at this volatile group behind me, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, that kind of hit a little close to home.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
like, like it's insane how much they thought this through.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely insane. And then you see the sniper on the top who fires the first shot to kill the one Imperial.
Yeah.
And no one saw it coming. So they were like, oh, it must have been one of these guys. And boom.
Boom.
And that's what they're going to tell the reporters. Well, one of them shot us first. Like, how else are we supposed to respond? And it's just,
I know.
oh.
No, it's utter chaos, and like you said, the Deidre is destroyed. You can tell she's just. It's going to be interesting to see where she is in these next 3 episodes.
I'm so excited to see that because you can tell by the end, and this is before she even finds out that Cyril is dead.
Mm-hmm.
You can just see her, like, she's doing her best to keep it together, and then when she's alone, she's just falling apart.
Yeah.
Because I think she kind of understood what she needed to do, but she didn't realize what it was
Right.
until she witnessed it. And then
Yes.
she's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What? So she's either going to come back with a vengeance, or she's going to come back for the rebellion.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to mention again about Cyril is, what's funny is I think most people, when they see the scene where he turns and sees Andor,
Mm-hmm.
and he immediately like goes after him. Now you may feel the same way because I feel like we think alike a lot about this, but I feel like most people see that scene and they think he sees Andor and he's thinking, that son of a, I'm going to, this is the guy I've been looking for. I'm going to get him. But how I saw it, when he looked at Andor, I saw it as, I've been so wrong about what I've been doing these last 2 years. Like, I caused this. Like, I am the reason this happened. Like, I told these people that they should fight, and I was giving them information to help because I was trying to make it look like, it's like, I'm the reason why these people are dying. And here's a guy I can take it out on, and I'm just going to take it out on him.
I think it's one step further than that. I think this is your fault.
To Andor?
To Andor.
See, I didn't see it that way.
I saw it as, this is your fault that I'm in the situation I'm in.
Oh.
That's what I view it as. So I think it's one step further. I think he's feeling a bunch of guilt. He doesn't know what to do with it. He doesn't know. So I agree. It's like, this is a guy I can take it out on, but I think his justification for that is, this is your fault.
Okay.
Like, in a twisted way.
It's your fault that I did this.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That's
good.
That's
do
good.
This, I wouldn't have been fired. I wouldn't have done this. I never would have met Deidre. I never would have been in this situation. So I think you're right. I think he's looking at all this and there's just this immense amount of guilt, but he doesn't know how to deal with it.
Right.
So he sees Cassian and he's like, this is your fault. Like, it's a way for him to take it out on someone because he feels so much guilt. He wants to put that guilt on someone else. So I think I agree with your train of thought. Mm-hmm. I just think it's one step further.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
And I do want to comment on the scene where Cyril put his hands on Deidre.
Oh, okay.
I do want to comment on that because her look of shock tells me that's the first time he laid hands on her like that.
Oh, yeah, but definitely.
And I think for him, it was a breaking point because here's a woman that he's in love with. And I want to say, like, up to this point, I loved their romance story. I love that there really wasn't, like, there was a kiss in these 3 episodes. But before then, there wasn't a kiss, there wasn't an embrace, but you still felt that love and care because as, like, I mean, you know this, you've been married for a while. I've been married for a while. You're not all lovey-dovey all the time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just, so just to see them be that comfortable with each other spoke volumes about their connection. So the fact that he felt like he was manipulated once again by a woman he cared about just made him snap.
Oh, yeah.
It's no excuse for what he did. I'm not for domestic violence at all. It was horrific. Like, I actually thought he was going to kill her for a second. I genuinely believe.
I think he was intending to. Yeah. I think he had an intent to.
Like, it's absolutely horrific. So I just wanted to comment on that scene. And I think even though it was very violent.
Well, let me just ask you this, though, because I obviously I didn't really go there. Because what if they weren't together? Would you have had a problem with what he did then?
I still would have had a problem because I still think him trying to kill her is like a whole, like.
But only because she's a woman? Because if she was a man.
If she was a man, I still also would have been horrified because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's this guy who got a lot. Like, let's say it was 2 men who were not in a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
But that there was clearly a partnership.
Right.
Even when he like did that and the guy's like, whoa, you're hurting me. And he's like about to choke him out. I would have been like, whoa, dude, calm down.
But I don't know,
Whoa.
because somewhat in my opinion, I'm like, he not that there's justification in killing, but the fact that he's been used in a sense to inflict death upon a group of people, like
That's huge.
that's major.
I think
It's not just like sending somebody to jail. Like,
no, that's
he's responsible for a massacre.
You have so much blood on your hands that you did not intentionally want to do. Like, that's why, like, in any case, I would have been horrified. And in any case, I'm like, like, even with her, I'm like, I get it, dude. I get why you're so mad.
And he said something. Well, it was like, the line was like, if you tell me something about a rumor, I'm going to throw you off this balcony. It's
and
like,
I'm like, I believe him.
Oh, totally. He was totally going to do that.
I don't care if it was his fiance that he was saying that to, his mom, his best guy friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have been like, no, you're going to do that.
Yeah.
It's just.
But you're right. You're right. He probably took it too far, but in the moment,
it's understandable.
I would have probably reacted the exact same way.
I was about to say, like, I'm not, like, it's not an excuse, but at the same time, I understand why he was that horrified.
Right.
And why it went that far.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't support it, and I found it horrific, but I also understand how he went that far.
Right.
So I just wanted to.
Yeah, and obviously too, I think what surprised Deidre, not just the fact that he did that, but the fact that he, because it feels like this whole time, she was the dominant part of the relationship, and he was the kind of the coward and took all the orders.
Yep.
The fact that he was given the orders at that point, I think it threw her, like, I think she was shocked.
She was thrown for a loop.
By who is this guy, And
I think there's also something to be said that, and I could be wrong about this, but in talking with my husband about topics like this, apparently the emotions between passion, like love, passion, and hatred are so close. Apparently, psychologically, they're so close.
Yeah.
Which I think that's because, like, if you feel very betrayed by someone you love, you're going to react in a very volatile way, whether it's you're somebody who just shuts down and does nothing, or you're someone who acts out physically.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm glad they kept that scene in there. I do understand what he's feeling. But I was still like, whoa, where did this come from?
No, agreed. Yeah, no.
Like,
just
the
incredible.
whole episode is just nuts.
Nuts. So another thing, just some people might not know, you mentioned the whole introduction to K2.
Yes.
And now this is something, because I'm going to talk about two things that are that have kind of been manipulated or retconned because of continuity canon and all that.
Right.
K2's storyline of them meeting was told in a comic after Rogue One, and this is not the way they obviously met. So that story has been officially, obviously, retconned. Which I got to say, that's, there's been aspects of stories that have been retconned, like the whole Siege of Mandalore, with how Ahsoka and Maul fought and how he got caught, like that. The event was canon in both her book and obviously Clone Wars. How it went down was a little different, but either way, the fact remains that she went to Mandalore and got him. This may be the first time, I can't think of one, but this might be the first time where an entire story is literally
completely
retconned. Like, it didn't happen.
I almost wonder if the reason why it, like, the only justification I can think of is that because if you tell new recruits to the rebellion, hey, this droid used to work for the Empire, but now he works for us. Like,
Right.
that doesn't go along, like, that doesn't sell very well. So the only thing I can think of that they can justify it with is, oh, the comic is how they explain they met, but in reality, this is how K2 joined the rebellion.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only justification I could think of.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Or is that too far fetched?
No, I think that's fair. I'm looking at the comic right now just because it can't remember what planet it takes place on, but
because I didn't read the comic, but based on what I've seen of it, I don't think it was as extreme as one moment this guy was killing people on Ghorman, and the next moment he's a friendly rebellion droid.
yeah, no. In this one, I think Andor is the one that he's the one that like reprograms him.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the only thing I could think of is, like, the comic is what they tell people.
Yeah,
So
that's actually good. I like that. I like that. That's not a bad way to explain it. I do like that. Because some, again, like you said, some of these sometimes stories are told like again, like Han and Greedo. Like you ask all the people in the cantina, they're all going to tell you a different thing that went down, right?
It's like Ahsoka with Tales of the Jedi. Like, you see that fight and you're like, that's not necessarily how it went down in the book. Well,
that's how. Yeah, exactly. But that could be like fifth hand knowledge of somebody's story, right?
Exactly.
And how it changed. So yeah, that's true. I like that. So the comic is a canon story that someone made up, telling him how they met.
Andor tells people when they see K2, right. He's like, oh, he doesn't really, like, I actually, blah, 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 blah. Instead of, yeah, this guy one moment was killing people on Ghorman. He was part of the whole Ghorman massacre. Remember that? Yeah, this guy was part of it. And now he's with us. Like, no, but at that point, everyone's going to be pointing their blasters at K2 the entire time.
That's true. I like that. That's true. The other thing about canon, let's talk real quick about Mothma's speech.
Yes.
So what I thought was really neat, I think this is really neat. A few years ago, we're talking season 3 of Star Wars Rebels. There's an episode called Secret Cargo, and it's the Ghost crew coming across Mothma being, basically her convoy to Yavin gets disrupted and she has to jump on the Ghost, and she delivers the rebellion speech, the one that starts the Rebel Alliance on that show. Now, at the beginning of that episode, they're watching a hologram of this speech. Now, the speeches are different, and a lot of people have commented about that, but just like you said, it doesn't really matter what was said, because what's canon is that she did give a speech. What she said is totally up to interpretation, right? But either way, the fact remains that they were both about the same thing, the Ghorman massacre, which was great because she, again, foreshadowing how this is going to play out. Like in Rebels, she mentioned Ghorman, like what happened on Ghorman. So it's really neat how they were able to still tie this together. And thankfully, the writers, I saw an interview with them. They talked about how they knew going into the season there was 2 things that they had to be mindful of, which is her speech in the Senate and her speech to the rebels.
Yep, which we're probably going to get in the next 3 episodes. It'd be really cool.
No, we're not, though.
Oh, yeah, we're not. You're right. That's
because,
right. 1 year later. Dang it.
Yeah, it's 1 year later, and it's already happened in Rebels. So I think I would have loved to see it in live action, and to see Hera sitting there and all, like that would have been awesome. But
yeah, you're right.
But it happened already, right? It happens right after right before she gets to Yavin. So, but again, the speech itself and the whole thing about how she got out, like intense, man. I was like, this is so good.
It makes me really question the connections that Luthen has, because the fact that Luthen's like, Organa's plan's not going to work, it's compromised. I'm like, how do you know? Like,
Oh, well, he knew.
he knew
Do you know how he knew?
Organa's plan
Yeah.
was compromised. How
Yes.
did Luthen know that? Like, to me, it makes me go, how the heck is this guy so connected to everything?
It was because Lonnie
Right.
was
Yeah, she was listening in. Still.
no Lonnie, the Imperial guy that's on the ISB.
Oh.
That girl works for him.
Oh, that's right.
So Lonnie told Luthen, "Hey, they told me to put a plant on Organa's security."
That's right.
So that's how Luthen knew.
Still, it's nuts how connected this guy is.
Totally, absolutely,
It's nuts.
No, everywhere. Well, he said, "I got friends everywhere." Right? I mean, that's
Define
clearly
friend, though, Luthen. Let's be honest. Define friend.
connections, But I thought that was really cool. So I there's a lot of people questioning the canon and the continuity and all that stuff, and I think it actually lines up really well. But now what's cool is that the fact that Andor was the one that extracted her.
It's awesome.
It's
because
awesome.
I think that that helps re-spark inside of him because he heard her speech and he's like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and to me, I think what's so great about this episode is this truly, in my opinion, it's like solidifies Mothma as being, I mean, pretty much the one that truly starts and ignites the rebellion.
I think the rebellion needed one person to rally behind.
Yeah.
Like, there were so many factions. It was very separate and they sort of started coming together, but they needed someone at the head. And I think it was like pretty much a coin toss between her and Organa.
That's true.
Like, I think it came down to a point where it's like you or me, and Organa's like, I can't. I have a family. I have a little girl. I can't risk this. You need someone to stay behind and keep you informed. So I'll be that person. You be the what. And so, yeah. I feel like as soon as she said that, she basically said, I will lead this front.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I will lead this front because this is what I believe in. Agreed.
And I think that I'm a really big, I've been harping on this every time we do a commentary. Like I'm always harping on perspective based on new stories and new backgrounds. I'm telling you right now, like this to me, when you see her walk out in Return of the Jedi now, that's a whole different scene now.
It's a whole different scene. It's like, whoa.
Right?
The leader of the rebellion is
and everything now that you understand that she went through.
It carries a whole new weight.
A
whole new weight.
And it's so crazy how that has worked out. Like that was done, 40 years ago? And a simple character that had just like a couple lines.
Amazing.
And then all of a sudden now it's like Lucas set that up to be have so much weight, even though not knowing really fully the layout of her actions and her storylines. And it's truly remarkable. And I think, I hope, I said this in my reaction too, I hope we see a little bit more of her because we don't know what she was doing during episode 4 or during episode 5. Right. Like she wasn't at Yavin when, the whole Death Star was there. She wasn't in Hoth, when it's like, where is she? I hope because I don't remember, because we did the whole comic series between 4 and 5. I don't think she
I
was
don't
in
think she
those,
was in
right?
it. I
So
think
where is Mothma at this point? You
she
know,
could be deep hiding and just corresponding remotely.
probably, but she says in here that she wants to get, or actually it's a speech. It's a speech on Rebels. If people go watch the speech on Rebels, she tells everybody like, I want to be on the front lines with you guys now. And, I want to see more of that. I want to see more of her in the front line because Leia didn't have a problem getting in the front lines.
Nope.
Right. So I would love to see what she's been doing and how she was doing, because she wasn't in the Senate. She was a wanted person, so anyway, look, I don't know how they top this, but like in the next 3 episodes,
I think the only thing that might have made her speech a little better, just a hair, is if Palpatine was in the room.
I know, right?
That is the
Yes.
only thing. When I knew the speech was coming, I'm like, please let him be there. Please let him be there.
I know, that would have been.
He doesn't have to say a word. It doesn't even have to be him. It could be a random dude in a cloak pulled over his head. I don't care. I want him in the room.
I agree. I thought that I agree with you. I think that would have been neat. That
Like
would have been really
it's just a cherry on. Actually, it's the double cherry on top. It's not. It's not needed, but it would be nice.
It would have been nice for sure. Yeah,
Just
for
to
sure.
see him even just kind of look at her like,
Right.
oh, that's how it is.
Right. Yes.
Like, oh, that would have been so sweet.
Yes. So, wow.
Yeah, wow.
But see, last thing I wanted to kind of touch on was the only character that I'm a little worried about having this time jump is Deidre. Because like you said, we didn't see her realize that Cyril was dead. So now we're going to have a year jump, and she's already going to have to deal with that loss. And so I wonder where she's going to be after a year. Because I think Andor and Mothma, we kind of know where they're at in a year. They're working for the rebellion, and we're almost to Rogue One kind of thing. I am curious. I'm real curious on where Deidre is.
It's going to go one of 2 ways, or one of 3 ways. One, she's going to be an even higher rank within the Empire.
Oh, yeah, true.
And she is just so bitter, and she's just hell-bent on revenge. She's going to fully flip and support the rebellion. And the last year she's been trying to figure out how to get in contact with the rebellion to help them out, whether that means she's a mole or a spy for them, whether that means she completely left the ISB.
ISB, yeah.
IBS is something completely different. ISB.
You don't want IBS.
No, you don't want that. Or she's going to completely throw her life away. And we'll see her like, your stereotypical person wearing sweats on the couch, eating pizza and drinking beer. Yeah. Like, I see this going one of 3 ways: throwing her life away, joining the rebellion, or rising, like just boom, 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 boom up the ranks in the Empire and just being completely hungry for revenge.
If you had to, which one would you bet on?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what would be. I feel like the easy answer is her joining the rebellion or her being a dropout. So I think it's going to be her hellbent on revenge because of Cyril's death.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I think she's going to be. I think it might be a little bit of a combo of a couple you said. I think she's going to be in the ISB still. She's going to be promoted because of what happened. But I think it's still going to be eating at her what happened.
It's going to be eating at her, but I think for her, she's going to want to put the blame on someone, and so she puts it on the Ghorman that shot and killed Cyril. So she's going to put it on them.
I think she's going to blame. I think she's going to be. I think this whole year she's built up this thing where she's growing to hate the Empire.
Okay, so you think she is going to hate the Empire?
I
think
think she's gonna not enough to be like I'm gonna join the rebellion, but I think it might be to the point where she somehow helps them, like on her last
I
thing.
agree. And now that you say that, I agree with you. I think she's going to help them in some way, but I do think she's going to be hell bent on revenge. I think she's going to be incredibly bitter. Like
Interesting.
this
Okay.
will create. I think she's going to have quite a storm within her.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Now, what about? Do you think Bix comes back?
No.
Really?
I thought we were going to kill off Bix.
I did
In
too.
all honesty, I thought.
I actually think that's still going to happen.
She might die. I think it's a little more tragic if she survives and Cassian dies.
Interesting. Yeah, that's right.
I would be a-okay if this is just where her story ends. I frankly thought that she was going to overdose. Like I thought we were going to get that sort of.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I thought she was going to overdose. That's where I thought that whole thing was going. I
think
don't think we get her again, and I think she's going to be alive and well.
I see. I think that has to wrap up for Andor, because I think Andor, even though a year is going to go by and I think he's going to be fully into the rebellion, I still think there's going to be that what if in his mind about where is she okay, and I just have a feeling that these next 3 episodes there's got to be a mission that him and K2 go on.
And they see Bix again.
I think somehow Bix comes apart, like accidentally, like they're in the same place at the same time, and I think something's gonna happen. I just think something's gonna happen. Because we have these characters like her, and we have these like, Wilmon, I guess, still has a kind of a storyline. Maybe he doesn't have a storyline that ends. Maybe he just becomes part of the rebellion. But Deidre, Luthen, we know where Mothma lands. But Deidre and Luthen and Vel are still characters, and Bix, like those 4 are still kind of storylines that kind of have to wrap up, in my opinion.
The one I have no idea how it's going to end is Luthen.
I think he's the one that kind of just goes on still as being this guy behind the scenes. Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
I don't see how because he never gets involved. He's involved, but he's behind the scenes the whole time, right? So
I think Luthen's going to end up taking his life. I think that
really?
I think the Empire is going to catch on, and as soon as he catches wind that they're going to come and see him, he's like, "All right, this is the end for me," because he'd rather die than give up anybody else. Yes, Luthen is a selfish man. He's only after his own interests. He's very much an ends justify the means. But I also think he believes in the cause so much that he would rather die than be arrested and the information being pulled from him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think Luthen's going to die in these next 3, and I think that's how he's going to die.
Okay. I always thought Vel was going to die, but now I don't think she's going to die. I think she's kind of
at this point
in the rebellion. Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, it's going to be fascinating to see how this ends. And this has already gone down. I mean, this is already still, in my opinion, the best series that Star Wars has done. The Andor series.
Overarching, because I would say that Mandalorian season 1 might be, I think, the best moderns. But if you're talking about series as a whole, Andor.
Yeah, Andor is pretty dang good.
Yeah. And to think, when we first heard about it, I called it Ambor.
You did. That's right.
I do have to say I cannot take credit for that term. I got it from a one and only Corey Cooley. He's the first one.
That's right.
He was the one who said Ambor, and I'm like, yes, I agree, man.
That's funny. All right, that was one of our longer episodes. This is not the Mandalore podcast, so we're going to cut this down. And
love you, Martin.
Yeah, exactly. Go over there. I'm sure this next episode with me and him is going to be a long one.
There are 2 series that dropped. Oh my gosh, yes. Your next episode's probably going to be like 5 or 6 hours long.
God, We better start early if that's the case.
No, you're gonna take it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna do 3 hours, and you're gonna take a huge break, and then you're gonna do a second.
Right. Yeah. Well, we can't start early tomorrow because it's Mother's Day. So
Yeah, that's right. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to all you mothers out there.
yes, happy Mother's Day to everybody. Yes, this is out on Mother's Day, so hope
Happy
everybody's
Mother's Day.
has a great day and celebrate those moms out there. Give them big hugs.
And let's also just give a couple honorable mentions to the Star Wars moms. Padme, we got
Yeah.
Leia, we got Mon,
Yes.
just to name a few. So.
Just to name a few. That's right. That's right. All right. Thanks, everybody, as always, for hanging with us. Let us know what you all thought about these episodes. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussions next week as we get into the finale.
Oh yes.
It's gonna be so great. Unfortunately, ain't gonna be much Star Wars after that, but we'll keep going and talking about it as soon as we hear what's coming. Hannah, thanks for hanging out.
Dave, thanks for hanging.
Good luck with your new job this week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting to hear how it's going, and yeah, I know we won't be talking your job on here, but obviously I'll talk to you off camera about your job. So hear about all the good stuff that you're doing, and excited to just see you get far with the parks and all that, and keep making them better and better because I love going there. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We want you all to keep coming.
I know. Well, as long as I can afford it, then I'll be there.
Touche.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Go enjoy the last 3 episodes, and we will see you back here next week. May the Force be with you.